Hey, I'm Matt, your commercial cleaning CEO. I built a multi-seven-figure commercial cleaning company. I'm here to help you do the same thing. In this video, we're gonna talk about when should you buy major pieces of equipment. And we're gonna go into a little bit of math and making sure that it fits your situation, because it might be a great time for you to invest in a large floor machine or something that makes your staff more efficient, or it may not. So you don't want to make the wrong financial decision. You also don't want to increase your costs if you don't need to. So we're gonna unpack, how do you know when and where is the right time to get these major pieces of equipment? And to be clear, we're not talking about buying vacuum cleaners here. We're talking about buying major pieces of janitorial equipment. They may cost $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, even $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, all the way up to $30,000 or even beyond. What we're gonna do to help you make this decision for your commercial cleaning company is we're gonna go over some pros and some cons, and then how you can ultimately decide if this is the right decision for your commercial cleaning company and for you. Okay, let's dive into the pros for choosing to invest in a major piece of janitorial equipment, and that is gonna be broken into two categories itself. We've got direct benefits, then we're gonna have some indirect benefits that will actually drive a lot of direct financial results for your company. So the first main direct benefit is a financial benefit, and it's called depreciation. Now that might not sound like a benefit in itself, but it really is financially, because either way, you're gonna buy something that's gonna get the job done. And if you buy something that is lower cost, like a vacuum or some brushes or whatever it is, like a low cost piece of equipment, you're gonna do what's called expensing it. Your CPA is someone you should consult on this to make sure that everything is categorized correctly in your company. But depreciation is treated differently when it comes to your tax forms, and if you're applying for a home loan or whatever else you're doing in your financial life, depreciation actually carries more benefits with it. For example, depreciation is what's applied to a valuable asset in your company. So when you buy one of these larger pieces of equipment, it actually boosts the value of your company because you can show that it lasts on your balance sheet. It's a usable asset, almost like a vehicle or a car or some other type of investment. And then what we do is we depreciate our equipment on a schedule of 3 years at a time. Now, depreciating just means if you spent $3,000 on the piece of equipment, it means that we're going to mark it down by $1,000 every single year as an expense. And eventually we have expensed it out through depreciation expense. But the neat thing with that is depending on certain scenarios that you enter into, whether you're gonna sell your company or you're gonna apply for loans, you can actually add back depreciation expense to increase your qualification income or to increase the income that your business actually earned so that your business looks far more valuable. The other thing to consider with depreciation is once your asset, your piece of equipment, has been expensed away through depreciation expense, it doesn't mean that it's not useless still. You still have it. It still has operational value, production value, and all these other benefits we're gonna talk about, and it can still be sold if needed. So depreciation is the first direct benefit. Now, the next direct benefit is gonna be a major piece in considering if this is gonna be something that you're gonna choose to use to boost the profitability of your company in even the near term. So here's what it is. Let's take a scenario where you have 100,000 square feet of floor to be mopped. And normally that takes 20 man hours to mop that floor. And let's say you're paying your cleaners $20 an hour. Now, I know there's other costs to consider with employees, but to keep this example simple, this is the math we're going with. This example would mean that it would cost $400 per day to mop this amount of square footage. If we extrapolate that out over the course of a year, and let's say we're cleaning this 100,000 square feet 5 days per week, then our cost as the owner of our company is $104,000 per year. Now let's say we're gonna invest in a piece of equipment that's going to double the production speed of our employees. So now instead of it taking them 20 hours to clean this floor every day, now it takes 10 hours to clean this floor every day. This just now cut our labor cost in half, which saved us directly $52,000 per year. In our company, this is what we call labor savings. So when we're evaluating a piece of equipment, we want to know the math. We want to see, based on the rating of this piece of equipment and what its production speed is, how many thousands of square feet per hour can it clean? How much is that improving on our current rate of cleaning based on our current setup of equipment. And then we do a cost analysis comparing the situations. Now, the other way to consider labor savings is the account significant enough? So in this 100,000 square foot example, maybe that's not the situation that you're looking at. Maybe you're looking at a building that has 10,000 square feet of moppable space. You've got to weigh out exactly how much time, how much labor cost is it going to save your company that's going to make sense. Because yes, it could double the production speed of your staff, but if they're not already working very many hours on site at that facility, then maybe it doesn't make sense. So be sure you have a good grasp of your labor savings opportunity when you're looking at a piece of janitorial equipment. So those are some direct benefits that you can feel right away. Let's talk about a couple intangible, indirect benefits that will affect your bottom line. The first one is client retention, which ultimately is increasing the lifetime value of your client. Not only could you increase the lifetime value by saving you money, but also by how long your clients keep you. Because here are a couple things that affect client retention when you have a major piece of equipment involved. And it doesn't even have to be a $10,000 piece of equipment. It can be a $1,000 piece of equipment. The first factor is direct quality. So because your team is going to be able to move faster and they're going to be able to produce more consistent results at a higher level of quality, your clients are going to be less likely to have complaints. There's going to be less deviations from the standards and their expectations. And you're also going to have the second benefit of looking more professional. I've been on multiple facility walkthroughs where there have been closets that we have gone to because the client takes us directly there and says, look at this closet. And they say, look at all the Dollar General stuff that they have in here, or look at all the Walmart stuff that they have in here. There's nothing in here that even is professional at all. Now, it's not to say that you can't use things from Dollar General or Walmart as minor pieces to your kit or your standard process, but having major pieces of equipment there can offset any concerns that you're just a fly-by-night cleaning company. They want to know that you're using professional equipment to drive professional results in their facilities. Perception is reality, as we all hear, right? And in our industry, it is very important to control the perception that our clients have. And even if we are in a scenario where anybody else is walking through the facility, we want them to have an impression of professionalism of how we treat that facility. And thereby, if I keep our clients longer, we're building up more and more of a profit over the years, even over the months within our commercial cleaning companies. The next indirect factor is actual staff retention. If your commercial cleaning company suffers from a high turnover rate, then that means that anytime you hire somebody, you spend time training them, you paid for the job ads, the time to interview them, maybe you're paying others to interview them, maybe you have an HR professional in your office, there's an expense for every single hire that happens before they even get out there and start cleaning. Then there's a higher risk because they're a newer cleaner typically that they're gonna make first-timer mistakes. They're going to test your limits on your systems and your processes. They might not get along with the team members and cause more turnover. There's all kinds of issues that can happen whenever you're having a higher turnover rate within your company. And that is going to be a cost that directly affects your quality, again, lifetime value of your clients, and even direct profitability. So the way that professional janitorial equipment here primarily saves you money is by increasing morale. Because whenever you have staff and team members that are using nice pieces of equipment, it's going to boost how they feel about their job. They know that you care about them. It's gonna help their job go more easily. Not only does it help them go faster and they can maybe cycle through more of the spaces, you might even be able to pay them a little less per hour if you feel like it, because the job is easier to do, or you can pay them more to help retain them longer, and they're just that much more efficient, so you can afford to pay them higher. The strategy is up to you, but having a higher morale because you have better equipment is a factor that can come right back around and save your company from sticky situations and to keep your staff there longer. Okay, so those are the pros for choosing to invest in major pieces of cleaning equipment. What are some of the other factors that we should look at as far as what might not be the best fit? The first one is the most obvious, and it can be painful making that upfront cost happen because you're looking at spending, again, anywhere between $1,000 to $30,000. Most commonly, you're gonna be looking at spending at the time of filming this video around $4,000 to $6,000 on a major piece of cleaning equipment. Now, if everything else makes sense for getting it and you've done your math, then this does not have to be so much of a con. It's not fun to spend that much money all at once, but if it needs to happen, then it makes sense for your business. The second drawback is ongoing maintenance. So let's use a mop bucket versus a floor machine example right here. So if you have a mop bucket, what is the maintenance protocol for that? Maybe it just gets cleaned out every once in a while. That's about it, right? But when you're looking at a large floor machine, there are several different mechanisms inside of this, and there's electronics, and I'm not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but it can be very complicated inside. So we gotta be sure that we follow their maintenance recommendations. You might need to send it off every year, which can incur a cost in order to have a technician work on it, or there can be someone local that can work on it and make sure that it's maintained. But you need to make sure that you adhere to those protocols, or else that depreciation schedule that we talked about might happen. It might tap out before you even depreciate it all the way by that 3-year point, right? We want to extend the lifetime, and to do that, there is the complexity of maintenance. The third drawback is damage risk. What happens whenever you damage a mop bucket? It's really easy to go to our supplier and get another one. But what happens if you damage severely one of these pieces of equipment? Well, the repair is either extremely expensive or you have to buy a new one. Your staff must be trained on how to use the equipment thoroughly before they're allowed to use it without any sort of supervision. And that can be a cost in itself as well. It doesn't have to be a significant cost, but if you don't do that, you're exposing yourself to a massive liability of losing that valuable machine. The fourth drawback is that there can be a little bit more inefficiency with task transitions. So the time to go fill up a mop bucket and get your chemical right, if you already have it being titrated in through a dispensing unit on the wall, it can be really quick. But in order to get a machine ready, fired up, warmed up, cranked up, whatever complexities of the machine that you have that are in place, that can increase the time at times for getting that going as opposed to starting some mopping. So when it comes to their task transitions, it's not always as smooth, but with some proper training, it doesn't have to be a major drawback. Where this does affect things is in smaller locations. Like we used previously in the video, an example of a smaller location where maybe the time savings aren't there as significantly. That's when a task transition can make or break the difference. If it takes a lot of effort to get a large machine out or to put it back, which putting them back in their storage can be difficult, then it may or may not make sense. So don't forget about the task transitions of moving to the machine and putting the machine away. And now the fifth drawback, which actually is quite a major one, is staff health and safety risks. Be sure to get what data you can and look at the reviews on each machine by the people who actually use it, and the cleaners and janitors and professional custodians that are acquainted with it on a daily basis. If you have a really heavy machine that people are using every single day constantly, it can lead to back problems. It can lead to lazy treatment of the machine. It can lead to sloppy control of it. And there's all kinds of things that can happen and become risks because it's not the safest option for the scenario you're working with. I know this is very common among the use of backpack vacuums, which we love in our operation. They are highly efficient machines. But if you have ones that are too large or awkwardly sized, then female employees have a harder time with them, whereas male employees have a harder time with other types. You want to be sure to have backpack vacuums that can work in each of those different scenarios. And it's not just about backpack vacuums, it's with any piece of equipment you invest in. Make sure that it is able to be sustainably used by the people that you hire to do the cleaning in your commercial cleaning company. So when should you buy a big piece of janitorial or cleaning equipment? Well, the equation that we use in our company is when the year one cost of not having it is higher than the year one cost of having it. Let's go back to our example from the labor savings. We cut our cost from $104,000 down to $52,000. And if that machine costs us $10,000 to buy, well then we just 5x'd our money. And that's just that one benefit alone. Where can you consistently do that, say in the stock market, or with real estate, or with other types of investments? Equipment can become a private investment vehicle for your own self. Now, as far as actually getting a piece of equipment, what we like to do is go through our local janitorial supplier. And the reason we like to do this is because they can also provide maintenance. So we don't have to deal with all kinds of different contacts and different companies. We have one place that we need to go to get what we need, and we have all the data that we need. We have a relationship that we're building with them. They're gonna help us get more and more clients because they wanna sell us more and more equipment. But there's plenty of options if you look online. There's plenty of suppliers for those types of equipment. Now, let's say that you want to invest in a piece of equipment. You want to get a hold of the benefits, but you just don't have the cash to do it right now. We've got two main options. You can either rent it, so you don't have to go be out a bunch of money immediately. You can use it for a certain period of time and test it out. You can also use it until it pays for itself and you can just spend the cash then. Or you can get a loan because it is an asset. There are plenty of equipment loans out there that you can get. It is a type of leverageable asset. So it's up to you to determine what is best for you personally and your business, but equipment is something that you can get a hold of whether you have the cash now or not. If you want to use equipment and other tactics to take your commercial cleaning company to the next level, check out the links down below where I can help you do just that. Thanks for watching. My name is Matt, your commercial cleaning CEO.